It's been 6 years since Sonic Mania was released, a game created by fans of the series dedicated to creating a modernized experience of the classic Sonic formula for its 25th anniversary. Fast forward to 2023, and Sega decided it's time for a new Sonic game to follow in Mania's footsteps. With the help of Naoto Oshima, the original designer for Sonic, as well as the developers at Arzest on board.
You serious?
After Arzest's last project, I was a bit skeptical on how this new game was going to play out, but with the blessing and support of the Mania team and Christian Whitehead, gameplay seemingly looked pretty good from what we were seeing throughout the year, and this was looking to be a pretty good Sonic game until we finally got to play it. Now before we get into anything critical about this game, because oh boy, there's a lot of problems that I would like to address, I would like to start off by giving my positives and what I really enjoyed about the game. Now without further introduction, let's jump right into Sonic Superstars. Before we continue this, I just want to say that I'm barely going to be talking about the story because honestly, it does not make a lot of sense and it's just very cliche. Basically, it's the same as any other normal Sonic story or classic Sonic story. Eggman's trying to take over the world and it's up to Sonic and friends to stop him. But this time, he has along him Fang the Sniper, who we haven't seen in so long, and a new character, Trip, who was designed by Naoto Oshima himself, until we get to a further point within the review where I feel like the story must be explained on that point, then we'll talk about it. But for now, let's just get into some gameplay and what I really enjoyed about Sonic Superstars. Right off the bat, the presentation is really incredible. I love the new designs of all the characters. Everyone's physics are basically one-to-one with the original Sega Genesis titles, with a few exceptions. The overall user interface of the game just looks pretty nice. The aesthetic and overall color palette of certain areas, or just the overall game in general, have some good ideas, and I just really love the style. I was on board with the style that Sonic Frontiers was going with, but I love when Sonic's world is able to expand on more than just a few colors and have a wide range of colors altogether. And could we also appreciate how they're not reusing the same levels for the umpteenth time? We have 12 new zones this time around, and while some of them do feel like just reused ideas in a new context, I love the little references given throughout some of the stages, such as Tails Stall in the pinball level, the concept loop in Golden Capital, and the end from Sonic Frontiers. Oh, wait a minute. Supposedly, there's a lot to love and also not like about Superstars, but there's still some things that you can enjoy about this game while also trying to repel the negatives. Now it's time to talk about the things I did not like about Sonic Superstars. Starting off with the music. Come on, you had to see this coming. At first, there are amazing bangers, but then it just turns into a complete dumpster fire.
Symmetry, my friend.
But in all seriousness, the soundtrack is not that bad. There were a lot of songs that I really loved, like Lagoon City Act 2, Pinball Carnival, Saint Sanctuary. The tracks that were composed by T. Lopes, Rintaro Somo, the other composers, they were all pretty good. Heck, my favorite composition was Speed Jungle Act Sonic. I even really enjoyed Sky Temple, and that was created by Jun Sonoe. Jun Sonoe is an amazing composer, but if we know his track record, you're gonna get results like this. And this. Oh, we definitely cannot forget about this. Atrocious. Moving on from the music, let's talk about the new mechanic added into the game, Emerald Powers. Emerald Powers are basically when you receive a Chaos Emerald from the aforementioned special stages, which this time around is just like swinging from...
Get on with it.
Once you collect the Chaos Emeralds, you're able to receive a power for each one. And if you ask me, most of the powers are just useless. Not useless in a sense that you can't use them, but it's more so they are situational, so you can't use them for every single stage. And sometimes the game gives you prompts of when you're supposed to use them. Like you're given a vision power, and only the game can prompt you when you're able to use it. Of course, you're not gonna know when to use vision or not, unless, you know, they were more expressive with the level design. I'm surprised I didn't say I didn't want to play Press Factory again, because I will admit, that second act mechanic, it did get to me, but at the same time, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and dying all those times sure were a handful. If we're gonna talk about the battle mode and co-op of this game, the co-op is not that great. The camera runs way too fast, it really focuses on one character, and if you're second player or whoever you're playing with goes off screen, they basically have to teleport to wherever the main person focused on the camera is. And the battle mode is bare bones. I'm not even gonna talk about the battle mode. When I try to match up online, it just matched me up with all bots. So are we gonna call this Sonic offline stars? Like offline racing? I'm just saying. Now with the small critiques out the way, let's get on to the big problem of this game. The bosses. The bosses are just an absolute slug to play. For one, you have absolutely no checkpoints whatsoever. The mini bosses though, they're pretty simple, but the main bosses are the absolute worst, as they slow down the pacing of the game, not how a usual classic Sonic game would usually go. Heck, I got so tired of Superstars, I ended up playing Triple Trouble 16-bit, and when I was playing their bosses, I preferred them way more than Superstars because they were short and sweet, so I don't have to waste too much time trying to defeat them, and I can get right back into the high-speed action of the next stage. The way Superstars handle bosses was just not it at all. And if you want to beat them quicker, just use the Emerald powers, especially the Avatar power-up, which is the first power-up you get, and it is a godsend. Which means it's perfect to talk about my next complaint, the final boss. The first part is just a very long match of ping pong, which is just unengaging. And then the second phase is worse than the first because you're just running in a straight line and you just gotta wait for your opportunity to attack. But again, the hit frames in this game are just so long, you're gonna be waiting quite a long time just to finally get that final blow. Is it even 8 hits to kill these bosses anymore? Like, I can't even tell. I think it's just all based off of the time. Once you defeat the Death Egg robot, you've safely secured all the badniks, returned back to the North Star Islands from space, and that game is pretty much over. What? So, yeah, this is the part where I just say spoilers. After you beat the game, you have to beat the game again if you want the true final ending. But what do I mean by you have to play the game again? Well, we go to Golden Capital and we play Act Knuckles. Fang basically steals the Chaos Emeralds from us, and thanks to Amy showing Trip kindness in a earlier level, I guess Trip converted to a good guy rather than a bad guy, and basically help us defeat Fang and Eggman. But now we have to play as Trip, and I guess you can call this the hard mode of Sonic Superstars. It ain't fun though. Yeah, the hard mode. You know, how you usually play as Knuckles when he's not playable at the beginning, so then you basically play a harder version of the stages with harder bosses. Encore mode, anybody? Trip's story is basically that, but just not fun. And I am not gonna talk about Trip's story this entire time, because I don't even think I got all my footage for that. The level design is punishing with any sense of remorse. Y'all thought Sonic Frontiers Update 3 was hard? Oh, no. Y'all have not seen anything yet till y'all played Trip's mode. So I'm not gonna talk anything more about it. Just know that it is basically the hard mode of Sonic Superstars. But what I will talk about is the final boss of Trip's story, because it's not the Death Egg robot. You know, after that whole fiasco that happened in the Golden Capital, I guess he got really mad and we fight off the robot he was making in the Golden Capital as well. And I'll tell you right now, this fight was just not it. There's a lot of jank. The fight drags on for too long. I prefer short and sweet boss fights. This is not the type of boss fight I look for at a Sonic game. And why does sometimes the animations just feel bugged? And the final, don't even get me started on the final blow. That is absolutely one of the most annoying hits. And I guess you could say that Fang loves his insta kills, because you will be dying in this stage a lot. If you think you're getting this first shot, you're either a super mega pro gamer, because I know a lot of people that were struggling on this boss. Once you've defeated that, you basically get the same cutscene you got from the original ending, and everyone's so happy on North Star Island. Wait a minute.
How long is this gonna go on?
So, you thought we were just gonna end a classic Sonic game with no Supersonic boss? Oh boy, you are wrong. So, once you've defeated the main story, Trip's story, you've now unlocked the last story. And basically the last story, you go against this dragon, who I'm gonna call Barney, because he's a purple dragon and we have no idea where he's from, unless you watch the prologue comic or animation. He just comes out of complete nowhere, and his boss fight is not even that fun. All I'm gonna say, pro tip, because I'm not gonna go on how to beat this thing, because I will admit you're not gonna get this first try. Just focus on getting rings. Just don't focus on his attacks unless it's like the meteor thing. First phase, just go for rings. If it's Tails, go for it. Knuckles, go for it. Just keep grabbing rings, because this game makes you feel like such a drug addict. You have to go for all the rings you can unless that timer hits and you're basically dead. And then the ending is just a quick time event. It's just so confusing. And then there's this part where he basically throws his claw at you and you're able to hit it, but it's not clear how you can do it. I was able to do it apparently. It's like you have to parry it or just be faster than the hand and then hit it back. It's just so confusing. After all that torment and watching the same credits, same music 3 times in a row, we have completed Sonic Superstars. Ultimately, it has a lot of good ideas. A lot of them are not fleshed out, not perfect. A lot of rough edges, definitely. A lot of oversights too. But then again, this is the same team that gave us Balan Wonderworld. What was I supposed to expect? Bottom line, Sonic Superstars does not deserve to be $60 though. So if this game ends up being on sale, ask for it for Black Friday or ask for it for the holidays. And I'm sure it will be a nice addition to your Sonic library. But that's all from me. If you don't see me before Christmas time, which you probably will because Sonic Dream Team is right around the corner and we don't know what's in store for our beloved Blue Hedgehog next. So until next time, I will see you all later. Take care and peace out.